Okay. Marky Billson here, your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. And the name of the program is Tri-City Sports Now, and we own the Tri-Cities on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, or you can listen to us on jetbroadcasting.live. You can also tune in on Facebook. Facebook Live, we're the most liked Facebook page in the market as terms of sports radio stations. You got more likes, more follows of any sports radio station in the market, which we're rather proud of. And we want to thank you for that, obviously. As well as Go Eat at Asian House, which you just heard of, and so on and so forth. The reason why is that I've got a hard-hitting attitude, I've got the best guests, and the hardest-hitting opinions in the market. I also do a segment, I haven't done in a while, I think I once let off with it, and I call it Media Watch. And usually what I like to do with Media Watch is get a bunch of, I usually accumulate some national stories about, various how sports are covered, that sort of thing. But I always like to tie in a local, a local angle to it. Boy, I can't believe that this person said that. Snarky, sure. Accurate, always. Thought-provoking, yes, and I'd like to think in some ways that maybe we are changing the way that sports are covered in the market. So, today I'm going to lead off with Media Watch. That's right. That's going to be Marky's monologue. And we will follow it. We're going to talk about Robert Silverman mixing sports with politics. Sure, he doesn't like Mariano Rivera. Reports of SportsCenter's death may be exaggerated because they're not so political as they used to be. Of course, there's always that story with Dan Le Batard. Heck, let's get right down to it. I've got a local broadcaster making the front page of the Johnson City Press on Media Watch. I love that. See, that's the other reason I do it. I get to play Keith Mansfield, documentary department, which sounds like, a lead-in to an old, an eyewitness news team from the old Ron Burgundy era. I mean, listen. With Marky Billson on sports. Consumer affairs reporter, whoever he is, that sort of meteorologist, hopefully someone who looks good, that sort of thing. Okay. I want to begin, though, that Sunday, and I guess maybe this is also a Media Watch, because driving in, I had to lead off and tell you, in my career, 1997 for another radio station. I was actually hired by the radio station, not the team, but I broadcast Johnson City Cardinals baseball games in 1997. That year, the Cardinals drew 43,000 fans, even though they finished in last place. It was their highest mark, even 12,000 more than what showed up to watch Ricky and Keel 4 years later. And that was a big draw. But it was the most fans that they drew until Boyd Sports took them over. So that should say, and it was the last place team. That should tell you the importance of broadcasting and the face that it puts up, all this. I was very proud of that. Unfortunately, WKPT did not carry the games the next year. That's who I broadcast for, I might as well tell you. And I don't know if they've ever broadcast me. No, they did. Somebody bought the time about 2003 or so. Somebody bought the time and they broadcast it. But anyway, for years, Appalachian League, I criticize it because I call it behind the times. And it has been, historically. But then finally, Minor League Baseball put out the decree, you got to broadcast your baseball games. And what happened is a lot of them went to online broadcasting. So, that is the key. Anyway, when I was doing, I remember press box, broadcasting the game, etc., etc., I remember Doug, I remember once Doug Fritz was in this, he was still writing for the press even back then. He's been there for a long time. And there was one time where they did a story really on a random outfielder, a feature for the press. And after it was over and it ran, he says, there's our one feature for the Cardinals this year. And sure enough, that's all it was. I never thought that was right. I haven't had the best relationship with the Cardinals over the years, I guess. I don't really have any animosity towards them. I know I don't, because I know the broadcaster last year that really ticked me off when he wanted to know the questions I was going to ask Nolan Gorman. I said, I'm not going to, you've already made me go through a million hoops to get this interview. I'm not going to commit journalistic sacrilege that nobody else on earth would. And do that. Fine. You want to be this way, forget it. We won't do the interview. Then I did that, and I feel justified in doing it, and it's one of the famous stories of Tri-City Sports now, okay. But regardless, I did, take with great interest, and you know what? I liked the fact that the local media, the local print media, wasn't ignoring the Johnson City Cardinals baseball broadcast. I liked that a lot. As for the broadcaster, well, his name is Joey Zanaboni. Joey Zanaboni, rhymes, okay? And he was championed by Joe Avento in the Johnson City Press because he likes to tell jokes, and that's the only way I can really describe it. It's not catchphrases, because a catchphrase you use over and over again. It's Harry Carey saying, holy cow. It's Mel Allen saying, how about that? Something like that. It is, a catchphrase could be John Sterling's home run call of, it is high, it is far, it is gone, or the Yankees win, something like that, okay? We have the Jolly Roger on the top of our radio tower. My friend Greg Brown, after the Pirates win a game, he says, raise the Jolly Roger. Okay, so, and when I did minor league baseball, I had, my own catchphrases. I had, a home run call, which was that dog will hunt, gain. I had, when I did the Alexandria Aces, a baseball team in Louisiana that no longer exists, my victory call was, read 'em and weep, aces high. I mean, we all have them. It's part of the broadcast and all that. Doesn't take away, adds color. The Zanaboni, though, really tells jokes, and there were a ton of them interspersed with this play-by-play. There were a ton of them printed in the Johnson City Press, and you can get the article online if you're so inclined. And here we go. One of them is John Torres, bashing it like a bouncer at that karaoke bar did with my rendition of Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain. Boy, she hated that rendition. Didn't have to duct tape my mouth shut, though. I'll tell you that much. Actually, I thought that was one of the better ones. Which, it is kind of wordy now, isn't it? But here's the deal. I was reading on various online, responses to the article and all this, comments. Some thought that the jokes were over the top. I'm not really into bashing broadcasters. Believe it or not, I'm not. What's Media Watch about bashing broadcasts? Okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe more constructive criticism. And did I think that all the jokes that were listed were funny or something? No, I didn't. I thought a lot of them were wordy. And I held off until today to comment on an article in the Sunday paper because I was trying to decide, what am I going to write about today? And I haven't had a chance. The Cardinals game was rained out yesterday. Didn't listen in on Monday. Probably should have, but I didn't think the game was going to get in, so I just sort of, worked on other things. Didn't have a chance to listen to Zanaboni, but then, lo and behold, I found his demo reel. They still call it a reel? Demo reel online. Sportscasters Talent Agency of America. So I gave it a listen. And here's what I found out. Zanaboni is a very versatile sportscaster. And he's called a multitude of sports, including college football, with its similar pause-play pacing to baseball. But for the jokes, he didn't tell those jokes when he was broadcasting football. He wasn't telling those jokes when he was broadcasting basketball. Basketball, I listened to some of the broadcasts and I thought, you know what? I've heard worse basketball broadcasters. There's a little bit of that, as you might expect with Zanaboni, that Jay Sanos enthusiasm. I think that's there. He was calling basketball. I was out there, I think, a women's game, and but even if it was men's, there was a catchphrase he used while calling basketball. I think I'm going to steal it. In fact, I liked it so much. And it was, off the square for a pair. That described a basketball layup. I thought that was great. And also, if you go, okay, get it inside of the center, puts it up, off the square for a pair. It's now 58-56, something like that. That off the square for a pair really reinforces in the listener's mind what just happened. And usually when you're listening to a game on a radio, behind the wheel of the car, so you can't give 100% attention to the radio broadcast. I talk about this. I like to cook and listen to podcasts and things like that. I like to, I'm cooking my dinner. That's my thing. And, well, there you go. That's another time. But you're thinking, okay, and mixing, quarter cup of flour and a quarter cup of salt. It's going to be a real salty dish, I guess. But, you can't give your 100% mind to the radio broadcast then. But if you say off the square for a pair, all of a sudden, hey, team just scored a layup. Way to go. Listen to his volleyball broadcasts. Okay. Straight up play-by-play. Not even a catchphrase. Straight up volleyball play-by-play. So here's a question. Why do baseball broadcasters, or in this case perhaps one baseball broadcaster, Zanaboni, feel baseball is different? That I have to pepper this with jokes. Avento writes of Zanaboni, once you get hooked, you're likely to be reeled in, anxiously waiting to hear what might come next. Well, I kind of hope that's what you do here on this show, Tri-City Sports Now. In fact, not kind of, no, it's what I want you to do. Problem is, you want to listen to Tri-City Sports Now to hear what Marky Billson has to say. You want to tune to the Johnson City Cardinals game to find out what the Johnson City Cardinals are doing. You're not tuning in for a nightclub act. Marty Glickman, sportscasting legend, used to tell his protégés the only people who tuned in to listen to the broadcaster was the broadcaster's mother. And he was right. Now, Marty Glickman died in 2001. He was Marv Albert's mentor, among others. So I don't know. Read Zanaboni online, his Twitter account said, mine is not a toast to the world as it was, but as it is. So maybe I'd have to ask him. I'm not going to, stereotype him, but that does lean one to think, oh, who cares about Marty Glickman? What year are you living in? That's what that line implies, even though Glickman is 100% right, and that is not going to change with the times. The only people listening to the game to hear the broadcaster is their mother, broadcaster's mother. Here's what I want to know. Why the people who market minor league baseball today feel that they must present us with everything but the actual game.
Box meal featuring